Hello and welcome to Bricks and Banner, the show with real talk from the custom LEGO community. I'm your host as always, Billy, and before we jump into things, I want to give another huge shout out to my friend Charlie, who created this theme music that you hear now. If you like what you hear, please consider checking out his music. It is streaming everywhere under the name Charlie the Nomad. Also, I realize that I may have never formally announced this or addressed it, but on the Bricks and Banter Instagram page, there is always a wrap-up post that gets uploaded alongside each episode. In these wrap-up posts, it includes many images of what has been discussed during the episode, so if you are completely lost or unaware of something, there's a great chance that it is in that post. Make sure to go follow the Instagram page. It's bricks_and_banter. Following us there is a great way to keep updated once a new episode is released, and I'd really appreciate if you use the Instagram to repost the wrap-ups and help spread the word about the podcast. With all the housekeeping taken care of now, let's introduce this week's guest. He is an artist I have been a fan of a long time, and yes, I say artist. He does it all with his figures, combining painting and sculpting flawlessly. That's right, this week we have Aaron, aka LM9 Productions on, and it was an absolute blast. I can't wait for you guys to hear this one. So with no further ado, let's get right into it. Real talk in the life in the streets. Brick by brick, piece by piece. Real talk in the life in the streets. Brick by brick, piece by piece. Real talk in the life in the streets. Brick by brick, by piece. And here we are with Aaron, aka LM9 Productions. How are you doing, bro?
I'm doing pretty good. How about yourself?
I'm doing well. How have you been? It's good to have you on.
Yeah, I know. I was watching one with Eli, and you guys were talking about having some other people on here, and I saw you guys mention Nate and Tristan, and then Nate hopped on here and spoke very highly of his experience on here. So I was like, oh, that'd be something pretty fun to do. So I figured,
yeah, he's got to suggest to me some other guys from the painting community to get on as well. I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll get into it because I could think of quite a few people that would probably have a lot of fun coming on here and talk about some stuff.
Perfect. You know, actually, I was just thinking about it earlier too, and you mentioned Tristan briefly. I just recorded with him on Tuesday, so
really?
That's going to go up just before yours, and it'll be just in time before he leaves and all that. And by the time everyone's listening to this, it's going to be like 4 weeks away. So
well,
I'm really trying to get ahead. I'm really trying to get ahead with things and have like a bunch of podcasts
backlog
booked up. Yeah,
there you go.
So this is a good start, but it's also weird because I don't know. I feel like one of the really nice things about some of my older episodes was that they're very current and talked about things in the moment, and now that might get lost, so I have to plan a bit better for stuff like that.
Okay, well, yeah, I'm sure it won't be too big of an issue. But yeah, I was going to say, I saw you were having Tristan on, and I was like, oh, I thought he was leaving at the end of the month, so I was really confused if that was going to go up beforehand or what.
Yeah, so we had talked briefly, like when I first got to know him a couple months back, we kind of like flirted with the idea, and then later on, or maybe it was just in my head, I don't know if we actually discussed it, or I was like, oh yeah, I'm definitely going to get Tristan on the podcast, like for sure.
Yeah.
No doubt. And then I messaged him maybe 2 or 3 weeks before he announced that he was leaving.
Oh man.
And I was like, hey, I'd love to get you on the podcast. Let me know if you're free at all, yada yada. And he's like, dude, I'd absolutely love to, but I'm just so booked right now. Like, we'll make it happen in the future. I was like, for
dropped
sure.
The bombshell.
Yeah, and then he comes around and he's like, man, like, I'm leaving. I'm like, oh my gosh. So I talked to him about some other things in between that time, and then it just kept nagging at me like, man, I got to get him on before he goes.
Yeah.
Like, I can't let this rest. I can't.
Right.
But I felt bad to like pursue it just after talking to him, but I figured the circumstances have changed enough to warrant it.
Yeah,
So
I guess so.
I was like, hey, I don't want to bug you, but, and I know you're like exponentially more busy now, but
yeah,
we should definitely make it happen.
Hey, good thing he was able to fit it in though.
Yeah, absolutely. He was like, as soon as he got back to me on it, he was just like, yeah, let's this week, like 2 days ahead. And I was like, bet, I'll put it down. I'm ready. And we just banged it out. It was good to talk to him for the first time. And hopefully, I'm not going to say it's the last. Well, he'll be around.
Yeah,
hopefully.
I'm sure he'll be popping in and out whenever he can get the chance.
He mentioned to me that he was talking to Nate about potentially designing some stuff in the future because that won't really require any parts on hand for him, and that's still a bit of a side, passion. So,
and I'm sure Nate would be absolutely thrilled to work with him.
Yeah,
on that.
Yeah, he mentioned he was. So Nate is a phenomenal dude. The podcast I had with him was one of the greatest.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was really really nice to get to know him, and I hadn't realized like the scale at which he was operating.
Oh my god, dude, it's impressive just how much he just jumped from like I wouldn't say being like a nobody, but from being somebody who just returned from like a long hiatus away from the community, and then kind of jumped in, was starting to get his footing, and then was like, "Hey, let me just hop on this 3D resin printed stuff." And I feel like he's like
Mhm.
the pioneer when it kind of comes to that for
Yeah,
the Lego community. So he kind of just jumped onto that and just made it his own pretty much, and
yeah,
dude's just killing it.
hasn't looked back since.
Yeah, and I'm just surprised he's able to like keep up with everything that's going on too.
I
Like
know.
running that business, he just got married. I'm sure. Well, this is going to come out in a couple weeks, but
Mhm.
he got married a
Yeah,
couple
yeah,
weeks
yeah.
ago at this point, and he's
Yeah,
maintaining it.
I got him right before he was hitched, so we were talking
Yeah,
a little bit.
yeah.
But
Bachelor party, a little bit of a bachelor party.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Nice. Yeah, dude. That
Oh, but
he
yeah, he's got to
impresses
get
me.
absolutely. Man, he was talking so much about it. He's like, I don't want it to get away for like, taking this break and a honeymoon and all. Like, I'm worried I'm gonna come back and there's nothing. I'm like, bro, like,
He's like,
forget
dude,
about
you'll be
that.
fine. He's going to be gone for like 5 days or
Yeah,
something like that. Not
he's
too
like,
long.
I'm posting on my story that I won't be here for the whole month, but I'm totally booking orders until the last day.
Yeah,
Like,
that's what it seems like he's doing because he
yeah,
leaves.
he's still going. He never stopped. What?
Yeah, because the day we're recording it is the 17th, and he's leaving tomorrow, and I know he's still doing stuff, and he's still
Yeah, yeah,
designing,
yeah.
he's still doing stuff. I'm just like, bro, you got to pack, man. You got a lot of stuff to do, but I'm amazed that he's able to juggle all of that.
Absolutely, and yeah, we were just talking about I don't know if, philosophy of it would be the proper word, but really just getting down to the nitty-gritty,
Yeah,
and, I'm so excited for him, man. He's really got it for to make it big, and, it's gonna be awesome to just see where he goes from here.
yeah, I know, and he's been really great to get to know, especially because me and him do custom recap the podcast together, and we've
Yep.
been working together on some designs and stuff, and we have like a lot of really great ideas of stuff we want to get into in the future and start investing in once we both get to a point where we're able to like make kind of bigger financial decisions. And it
Awesome.
got a lot of exciting stuff in the pipeline that him and I are want to work on, but I feel so bad because like he's able to devote like pretty much all his time because this is his full-time gig,
Yeah, yeah.
and then I'm over here. I've got like trying to keep up with my page, and then also I've got a full time job as a chemist. So it's kind of like
Oh, wow,
kind of hard to
chemist.
juggle uh, a full time job and then wanting to pursue this as well. It gets because I'm just like I want to design all these lightsaber hilts and all these different armor designs and all these different things from the video game Destiny. I've got a lot of ideas. I'm just like I just have barely any free time to do it, so I feel so bad because like he's putting in so much work, and I feel guilty sometimes because I can't devote as much time as he's able to, and it kind of frustrates me, and it's made me think a lot more about what I want to do in my future because this stuff is like Nate. This is stuff that I love doing. I've always been a customizer, and I've always wanted to create a product for people. And
Mm,
sculpting and getting resin cast of that stuff was kind of like my in, and kind of me feeling around a little bit and be like, okay, this is something pretty cool. And then he's just been giving me a great opportunity to work with him on this type of stuff.
absolutely. Did you know him before he, took his hiatus?
No, not. I think I might have seen his stuff back on Flickr because I think you might have mentioned this. Are you a Flickr veteran?
Yeah, 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 a bit.
Back, yeah,
Not a notable figure or anything, but I was there to witness some legendary figures as they were active.
yeah, and I was big on that from probably like 2012 to whenever it started to go downhill and Instagram started
Mm,
to take over. But I
mhm.
think he might have been on there at some point. I might have seen his stuff because when he came back on Instagram, I was like, this guy's stuff looks familiar, but I don't think I'd ever actually talked to him.
Right.
But he came back with some pretty cool figures, and we started adding him to some group chats and just getting to know him a little more. And then him and I started just talking a lot more, probably in the past like 6 months, 6 or 7, well, probably a little more than that, because we started that. We jumped into Boba Lug. I don't know if you're familiar with them, are you?
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So we jumped into that together, and so it's just been great getting to know him ever since he's starting to rise up from wherever he was before.
Absolutely. Well,
But hey,
let's not make it all about Nate.
yeah, I was about to say you're
There's a
telling me he's
podcast dedicated to him.
yeah,
So if
really
you're
Nate's
interested in more
Minifix
Nate
fan
talk,
channel.
We'll go over there.
Yeah, no.
Nate's fan club over here.
No, but you're saying on the episode that you did with Nate, he was praising me. So here we got like 10
Right.
minutes of us praising him for a second.
There we go. There we go. And I still think there was something else I meant to mention about him, but we'll move past that.
Yeah, move past it. We're
You
fangirling.
briefly mentioned, your start in the community, and that's always where I like to begin the conversation.
Right.
It's just a fitting start, and it always leads into a bunch of areas to explore. So, when did you get interested in customizing Lego?
So customizing Lego, I think, came around in like 2010. I want to say 2009, 2010, because I started, I jumped into the community in 2008, because that's when my YouTube channel started. I was just doing these absolutely terrible, low quality reviews of Lego sets, and I was like 9 or 10 at the time. So, you can imagine how awful those videos are.
Of course.
But I didn't start customizing until like a year or so later, and I guess it was the rise of, I guess, the Clone Wars and Star Wars Battlefront 2. Like the original PS2 version was around, but I think the big catalyst that made me jump into it was Clone Army Customs.
Right.
Because Tyler from Clone Army Customs used to do like decaled figures, and they're always so expensive. They were like $60 for a figure, and I'm like 10 years old, and I was like, I that's more money than I get in a whole year of allowance. So it's like I can't ever afford anything like that. So I just decided to grab some of my mom's acrylic paint and just start slopping it on some clones. And
so you dive right in the deep end with paint as opposed to Sharpie?
Right into the deep end with paint. Yeah, that's where I started. I was never one of the Sharpie
anomaly.
guys.
You are an anomaly.
I was never one of the Sharpie guys. And when I started talking to Ross in like 2010, I think he was a big Sharpie guy, and I kind of was like, hey man, you should start painting because it looks so much better, and it doesn't stain your figures if you try to remove the paint because you screw up. So I'm not trying to take responsibility for that. I'm not trying to take. No.
What you're saying is Ross owes you everything for his career and what he's done in the painting community.
I'm not saying it, but if
you know.
Cut me a check, Ross. Just kidding. No, but yeah, he was like one of the first people I started talking to in the community, and that was like 2010. So it's like crazy that that's
way back, man.
Yeah, oh my god, I was so little. I was like 12 at that point. So
that was the first time I ever really saw the wider scope of the Lego community, because in 2010 I went to Brick Fair, Virginia.
Oh my god, yeah.
As just a public, attendee.
Yeah.
And then it was like, oh, there's third party? What is this?
Yeah,
Brick started the slow descent.
Yeah.
I wasn't even into the brick arms then. I was like, oh, because back then it was like huge. So I remember seeing it was like a full square, it wasn't even like a row of tables. They had their own like display section to be, vending at. And it was like 3 rows deep, stacked with people. I couldn't even get in to like take a look.
Oh my god.
I fought my way through just to see what it was, and I was like, ew, guns, whack, and then I left.
You missed out on all of those Brick Arms protos, dude.
For real, man, for real. But yeah,
that just
was
throws me back
slow.
to just wishing I could have gone to Brick Fair when I was that young, because I just remember seeing people post about it all the time on Flickr, them getting all these great Brick Arms prototypes. I'm just like, bro, I'll trade you some like $5 worth of guns for that. Stupid kid. But
you planning to attend this year?
Absolutely. Yep.
Oh yeah. I'll see you there, man.
Oh, awesome. How many years have you been going?
Since 2011 as a private attendee.
Okay.
Yeah, I never missed one until last year.
I don't know if I've met you there before, because I've been going every year since 2013.
Yeah. No, I never really brushed shoulders with the painters and sculptor sort of deal.
You kind of more over by the military guys?
Yeah.
Okay.
Not to like, bash your crew, but I could never
please do.
I could never like fit in there. Like, I don't know, it just felt way too cliquey and a bit more difficult to kind of breach. And military community was where I was kind of working with already. Yeah. I mean, I really appreciated everything that you guys were doing, and I was big fans of like your guys' work, but it was just a lot easier to integrate into the military community, and that's just probably because it's what I was doing.
Yeah. I'm glad it's not some sort of. Oh, go ahead.
I was close with Josiah, if you remember.
Okay, him. Yeah, absolutely. He was pretty close with all of us too. Him and Bill Bobful, they were pretty good friends.
Yeah. I saw him around. I don't
Legends.
never really had a. I know what's the deal. Okay, yo, what is the deal with the Billy Bob full praise? And also, it would really throw me off too because we both have the same name. So I'd be at the
Yeah.
event and people would be calling Billy, and I'd look around and I'm like, no, nobody's calling me. It's that guy. So
Right. No, with Billy, I think he was just kind of like, I feel like he was one of the more prominent Flickr customizers of his day, and he was like the first one to really do like, I wouldn't say like heavily sculpted stuff, but he had a very distinct style where he just
mm,
had like sculpted hair pieces and sculpted like clothing items and 3D elements like that, which is something people didn't really do for a while because I felt like a lot of people just kind of mimicked the same style of just like, oh, taking official Lego figures and painting over some aspects and just, upgrading them or whatever. And he was like, I don't know if he was one of like the first guys that was really starting to make like his own original stuff, but I think he was like one of the
he was definitely
like,
the most prominent.
yeah, probably one of the most prominent guys out there. And I don't know if you've talked to Billy, but he also has a very like fun attitude about him as well. Um, yeah, I
Yeah,
know.
never really had many interactions, but he seemed
Yeah,
cool.
he's an interesting guy for sure. And yeah, I don't know. I was, close with him at Brick Fair and everything, but I wasn't
Mm.
one of the dudes that like praised him like a god like some other people do. But I'm guessing he was also one of the guys who never used like apple barrel paint. He was always using Citadel
It's the
paint.
Citadel stuff,
Yeah,
sure.
and
Okay, yo,
everybody's
I'd like to break that down, honestly.
yeah.
So, do all of the painters almost religiously just stick to Apple Barrel?
Apple, yeah, and it's kind of weird because like I've been using Apple Barrel for as long as I could remember. That's all I've been really been using. Just because you got all these colors, and the biggest thing is that it's cheap because these
Right.
bottles, these little two fluid ounce
Yeah,
bottles,
yeah, yeah.
are
90,
like
99 cents,
yeah,
if
50 to
that. Yeah.
99 cents, whereas a little jar of Citadel paint can run you between like $3 and $8. So
Right.
it's like it's one of those things where it's like, oh, easier to access because you can get these at Walmart, whereas Citadel you got to get them at like a special hobby store. But lately I've been rolling into the Citadel train a little bit because one of my friends, his name is Jared or Jared Figs.
Yeah, okay.
He's real big in using the Citadel paints on all of his anime figures. He's been doing a lot of like My Hero Academia and
Yeah, 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 yeah. I've been loving those.
yeah, he'd be one that I'd suggest getting on the podcast because he would
Sure.
definitely love talking about that, and I know he has a good mic too, so he could definitely
Oh,
definitely fit
perfect.
in well with that type of stuff.
Perfect.
So that will be one of my recommendations to get on
Thank
here
you.
is
Thank
him
you.
for sure.
I'm writing it down.
Yeah, but yeah, he kind of started getting me on the Citadel train a little bit just because they have some really good like metallic colors that work well for like armor and especially
Mm,
like battle damage. They have some like really cool technical paints and shade paints that let you get like really nice washes, so you don't have to like water down apple barrel paint and slather
yeah.
it on. So it's just like it's almost perfect for Lego customizing and painting sculpts, especially, which is exactly what I do. So it's like, how did I not jump on this any sooner?
Are you using the base colors from Citadel too, or are you sticking to Apple Barrel for that?
I'm mainly just using like layers for Citadel just because they have like really nice silvers. That's pretty much all I really
Right.
use is their silvers and their gunmetals and sometimes their golds. But I have been using the base colors. Like I've just got like a base black that I use from them, and I do have like a base primer from them as well that I've
Mm,
been using. It's a white primer, so it's what I've been using for Tech from the Bad Batch since he's all white, and white paint is absolutely atrocious to work with all the time.
oh my
So it's
gosh.
been a blessing.
I found I can't actually say I found it. A good buddy recommended it to me, but there is a white paint that's actually not atrocious,
Oh yeah.
and I'll turn you on to it.
Is it
It's
Model
something good.
Masters white?
I can't recall. Yeah,
That's one
I'll
that
find one.
it
I'll
seems
find it.
like
I'll get you a pic.
I think I have that one somewhere sitting around here, but like that's one people do like, and I've used it a couple times, but it's
The
just one of
Model
those things.
Masters acrylic in the glass jar.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've bought 2 or 3 of those paints. The best one by far, and I gotta buy a new jar of it, um, was their semi-gloss black
Okay.
because it can almost mimic the color of, the
Like
Brick
Lego
Arms
black.
guns
Okay. Yeah.
or, printing from digital print.
Mm,
So, like, if you have boots that aren't printed on the insides, you
yeah.
clean it up with that and you almost can't even tell.
Wow.
So that is, like, a un unparalleled paint. However, because of the glass jars, they totally seal up on me, like,
Oh yeah.
it completely. So I tapped the top of it. I just drilled it out, and I have to it's so bad now. It's so bad because there's
Oh my
so much
god.
gunk from me trying to, like, just, shake it out like a ketchup bottle. So I gotta
Good
I
lord.
have a skewer that I just poke down there and I mix it around and then I pull out the skewer and then I use my brush to take whatever's off the skewer.
Oh my god.
It's terrible. It's terrible. So
A
I
little
definitely
bit
gotta buy.
unorthodox, but it works.
If it works, it works. I couldn't be bothered to have to make an order and buy a new one. But
But yeah, that's kind of why I kind of stay away from the glass jar stuff in Model Masters. Like I use their flat black and their gloss black sometimes, just because they're very smooth and they get the right finishes that I need. But they're just such a pain to work with
yeah.
sometimes, just because I've got to buy like 2 jars of the flat black just because it seals up and I just cannot get it open. Like I'll run it under I'll run it under hot water and
Yeah,
use
I've heard the
pliers
hot
to try to
water.
jam it
No,
open and it doesn't work.
nothing works. Um I got turned on to it because of Detroitica, Tanner's
Yeah,
work.
Tanner.
He swears by it. And I mean, it shows in his results. Like everything's phenomenal and actually handling his mods, the quality of that paint is like very scratch resistant.
Hmm.
And I just can't do it though. I can't deal with the bottles like that. Like he's got way more patience. He's like, yeah, I just, I'll get hot water going and I throw it in, and then I'm like, no, no. I can't be boiling water at 2 a.m. when I'm painting. I can't be doing this.
Yeah. But Tanner is one of the nicest dudes I've ever met at Brick
Oh
Fair.
my goodness, he's such a sweetheart.
Yeah, my God. Like the
It's
first time I met him, he was like, "Oh, Aaron, I'm such a big fan." I was like, "Tanner, I'm such a big
I'm
fan."
big
And we are just like
fan.
fangirling over each other and we're just like squealing like school children, and it was
Oh,
amazing.
absolutely. He is.
Mod King.
It's
Mod
the
King for
goat.
sure.
The
Yeah.
goat.
That dude
But yeah,
uses a lathe, doesn't he?
he does, man. He has a mini lathe just to sculpt with his sprues. Well, not sculpt,
That's
but carve at them.
that's crazy.
It's unreal. Unreal. And just literally the most humble and,
Absolutely, man.
caring dude. You couldn't ask for somebody better to be the absolute goat. I mean,
Yeah.
it's
I hope he comes to Brick Fair this year because I'd
I
love to
believe
talk
he
to him
is.
again.
I believe
Good,
he
good.
is. Yeah, we haven't talked about it specifically, but he told me to put something of mine on the side. I got like these new stickers.
Okay.
He's like, put a set aside for me for Brick Fair. So he's definitely coming.
Good.
If all things work out. So I'm definitely looking forward to that. This year is gonna be something, man, with a whole year, not a whole year in between. It's
Yeah.
gonna be
It's
unreal
funny.
energy this year.
Yeah, it's funny because like in 2019, everybody in my group was kind of just like, "Oh, we're getting burnt out because everybody's been going for almost 7 years straight." So everybody's just like, "Kind of want to take a break next year." And then it was like rolling around time for Brick Fair, and everybody was like, "I don't want to take a break anymore. I want Brick Fair to happen because we wanted to go." It got canceled since COVID, so it's like
Of
we got our
course.
unintentional break. So it's not like we purposefully skipped one. It's like, oh, everybody couldn't go because the thing was canceled. And then this year,
I'm
it's
not
like
gonna lie. I'm gonna blame all of you for that you jinxed it,
bad juju.
because none of my buddies were like, I need a break after this." No.
Yeah.
So that's on you. That's on you that you got your break, but I'm
Yeah, I
glad.
guess so. Got what I wanted, unfortunately.
It definitely makes us
Even
appreciate
though,
what
hey,
we
we were
got
trying to
more.
switch it up. We were trying to switch it up towards the the event, but didn't work. But I'm glad that they're doing it this year because originally it was private only, and now they
Mhm.
just recently
Yep.
switched it to open in
They
public
opened it
days.
up to
So it's gonna be
public
big.
too.
I feel like it's
It's
gonna
gonna
be
be
big.
amazing. It's gonna be really great to
'Cause
see.
people are wanting to get out of the house and do stuff, and a Lego convention
Mhm.
is perfect for that.
Yeah, no doubt.
So that's gonna be fun.
Hopping back real quick to the paint thing though.
Yeah.
I still can't believe that like the military community almost exclusively uses and praises Citadel, and then the actual dedicated painter community
Do
like
not.
just doesn't. Like if I don't I gotta dive deeper into this because I'm really seeing the scope at which this not a problem, but like this discrepancy is.
Yeah.
And like like there's not one person on either side really that goes against the grain. It's just it's how it is. There's very
Yeah.
few outliers.
It's funny how the military community are better customizers than the customizing community. At least when it comes to that. Just because Citadel, it's so nice to work with sometimes, and you get
Mm.
such great finishes on stuff, and I don't ever feel like it's going to just rip off just the technical side. I got some blood kind of paint recently. I went up to
Yeah.
Michigan, and I went up to a hobby store up there and got
Something to the blood gods.
yeah, something like that. Blood for the blood
Yeah.
gods or something like
Yeah,
that. It's
blood for the blood
technical
gods.
paint, and I'm excited to use that for anything. I don't really have anything in mind, but that stuff looks great. And then I got some
Yeah.
paint on sealant, like a gloss and a matte sealant to give little areas of finish, because that's one thing I've started to experiment doing, because usually I used to like never seal my figures just because I was like, well, I'm
Mm,
not playing with these, so like they just stand up on a display and that's it. But now I'm
right.
just like, I need to start sealing these things to like work with finishes. So I've been working with like making certain things gloss, certain things matte, and it's been really fun to work with. And that's what I've been doing. A lot of my Bad Batch figures, I've been doing like a matte sealant over all of them to give them that kind of dry look like they have in the show. And then I've been using like gloss paints for the visors and gloss finishes for the visors to make them pop out and make them look, reflective.
Ooh, that's interesting that you would use both. I like that idea.
Yeah.
Because yeah, you definitely would tell that on the visor it has a matte finish. Are you using a spray on for both of those? Well, you couldn't
Yeah.
use it if you were just gonna applicate it onto the visor,
Well,
unless you
yeah.
tape everything.
For the matte finish, I've been using Krylon matte finish. It's just some like sealant I
Yeah,
got at
sure.
Michael's, and it
Yeah,
does
I
its
used the
job.
Rust-Oleum version, but
Yeah,
same difference.
probably the same exact thing. If we're
Yeah,
being honest, probably the same exact thing that they're
you
just
got a
selling to
you've
different
got a point there.
manufacturers.
You've got a
Yeah,
point.
but yeah, that, and then I've been using what is this? Americana Duraclear satin varnish. It's like a paint on thing I
Hmm.
got at Hobby Lobby. Comes in a little 2 fluid ounce jar thing or bottle.
Oh,
Been
I
using
actually
that.
might be using the same exact thing.
Yeah, yeah.
I
So I've
bought
been
it forever ago. I don't know the name, but it was like very fancy looking.
Yeah, and so I've just been using that and just to paint that on small little areas, and so that's been working out for me. But now I'm switching over to Citadel to start getting all of this cheap stuff out of the way.
That's great. So yeah, do the painters not like care that it's going to scratch off? Like I would think out of everybody, they would care the
Yeah,
most.
I mean, I can't speak for everybody, but I don't know how many people like seal their stuff like completely. Some people
Hmm,
might, but some people just might not. And I imagine there's quite a few people out there that don't do it. Um,
they
yeah,
got to be.
I'm just curious about when people are going to start jumping up on the Citadel train here, because it seems like a lot of people are jumping on like the resin printed game. So maybe switching over
Maybe
to
that's the next
Citadel.
trend. Yeah,
Yeah, maybe that's the next trend. Hopefully, and Jared Figs will be leading the charge because he's been probably the most prominent dude since Billy that's been using those, at least like vocally to an extent.
right, right. Man, I've been using a matte clear for all of my mods, especially commission work, just
Hmm.
so that they get something that doesn't break on them. And there was an issue with the paint that I had, and then I, clear coated, and then I realized, and I went to scratch off the clear coat, and I realized how good the clear coat is. It
Yeah, so
gave
you're
me a
just like,
lot more
oh,
confidence.
yeah,
Gave me a lot more confidence in putting this clear coat on because I'm like, oh my god, I literally cannot remove this. Like,
I did
so
that.
clear coating really it's something,
Yeah, I've done that before. I was like painting a head and I sealed it with a gloss sealant, since Lego print kind of has like a gloss feel,
right?
and it was on a
Right.
flesh head. And so I couldn't really tell the difference. I was like, oh, there's a little blemish I need to fix up. And I tried scraping it off with a toothpick and just did not work. And I was like really mad because I was like, well, damn, now this head is like ruined just by this little blemish here that I cannot get off.
Oh man. All right. I don't even know where we hopped off the
Yeah,
train there.
I think we're talking about Billy or something, or in Brick Fair.
Something,
A lot of
something.
stuff got
Yeah.
talked about.
But yeah, so you started off in the community. You
Yeah,
started off, you
that's where it
said,
was.
yeah, yeah. It's always how it goes.
Yeah.
You get on that train and then quickly derails. You started off with the YouTube channel, right?
Hmm.
And then doing some reviews, got into customizing, taught Ross everything he knows.
Pretty
Something.
much. Yeah. Nah.
So, how were the Flickr years for you? Did they treat you well? Did you
Yeah.
really get
Yeah,
into
man,
the
I miss them.
community?
I miss the
Really?
Flickr years, yeah, because I started Flickr, I don't even remember when. It was probably, I think I said like 2012 or 2013 or
Hmm,
whenever
something
I
around there.
jumped on there. But I don't know if you remember this guy. He was prominent in the military community, and especially in the World War II community, because that was like huge back when I was
Yeah,
jumping on. I was
yeah.
like really young and really liked Call of Duty World at War and Saving Private Ryan and Band of Brothers, and I was like, oh hell yeah, this stuff looks great. And saw this dude called the Ranger of Awesomeness. Does that name ring a bell?
Surprisingly, it does not.
I'll have to send you some of his stuff then, because he just had these amazing builds, and I was just super inspired to join. I never did any builds, but I just love seeing all these different World War II builds and tanks and stuff. So
Oh,
I jumped on there. My first Flickr posts are actually World War II related stuff, but they're all what you'd expect out of the building skill level of like an 11-year-old. So
for
yeah.
one, the Flickr search feature worked, and I got to find his profile.
Oh really?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've never seen him before actually.
Well, yeah, I think he left like pretty soon
8 years
after I
ago.
joined. Yeah, it's been a
That's his
long
last
time.
post.
Yeah. So it's been a while, and I miss that I wasn't there for like when he was around, but
Mm.
yeah, that was like where I started and why I jumped onto Flickr, and then I would just casually just post all my crappy customs at the time, and then I started to. I guess that's when like more customizers started jumping on to Flickr, because before there wasn't a lot. It was like Ross, and there was like a few others on there. Like Billy, I imagine, was one of the originals on there, but there weren't too many on there at the time. And then more and more people started showing up, and I just started meeting so many more people on there. And that's like all of my friend group that I've met, like in the Lego community, has been from Flickr pretty much.
Mm.
And yeah, it's just like I wish we could go back, because Flickr's got such a great photo feature where everything is super HD and looks super crisp. And Instagram's great because it has like the more social function of being able to have like a big page and basically run a business almost and talk more
Yeah,
with
true.
people. And and Flickr's just photo sharing. It's not There's not really a lot of social aspect about it other than comments and the occasional Flickr mail.
Mm. Or the notes on the page and stuff like
I
on the
remember the
photo.
notes. Yeah, the notes were big, especially when you were putting up trade pictures.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
man.
you circle the Brick Arms prototype ray gun that you'd want, and then they'd
There we
reply back
go.
saying, "No, not for you,
Did
not
you
for trade."
did you get much into Brick Arms collecting at all? Because you
A
talk
little
about it
bit,
quite a
yeah,
bit.
a little bit. I collected the AC-8 rifle. I had like
Okay.
crap loads of different colors of that with a bunch of different camo variants, and I still have them somewhere. They're all buried, and I have no use for them anymore. But
Some
then,
big money, probably.
yeah, maybe I have no idea. But then I also have a bunch of prototypes too, like some like rare ones too that will never make.
Oh man, I'd
Got
love to see photos if you ever find it.
Yeah, one of them that I have in mind is from. Have you seen Akira?
Oh yeah, the Akira, right?
Yeah, the heavy laser
Rocket launcher?
cannon. Yeah, I think is what they call it.
Yeah,
Yeah, that and the viewfinder. I have that, which is something that they'll never make.
that is really rare.
So that's like my prized one. And then I've got like the overmolded Spartan lasers and the aluminum tubed rocket launcher from Halo.
From Halo. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
and then just a
That's some
lot of
great
other
stuff.
small ones here and there. They're all in a bag somewhere, so I gotta dig them out. But
That's great.
yeah, I was around for that, and it was funny how you could use those as like currency back in the day.
Yeah. All
What a
right.
wild time.
Absolutely. So then you get onto Instagram, skipping ahead a bit.
Yeah, a couple
Uh,
years.
yeah, just a few. How did you like the platform on there? You
It was
you
interesting.
since joining, you've grown a sizable page. So
Yeah. Yeah, but it was definitely something to get used to, because I was not even like wanting an Instagram. One of my friends from the Flickr community was like, "Yo, you should jump on this right now," because like he was like seeing everybody shift over there, and I was like,
mm,
I don't care about Instagram. It's just where people post pictures of their food or whatever, and was never like big into it. And then
right.
one brick fair, I finally got convinced to do it, and here we are. And it's been, obviously, I think I like Instagram a little more than Flickr, even though Flickr does have like I miss it, and I miss the HD
It's
photos
got
and
the
stuff.
nostalgia.
Yeah, just because it inspired people to like have really cool photos and take really good photos. Where I feel like Instagram's kind of just like you post a quick fig and get the likes, and that's kind of it. Like I feel like
Yeah,
Instagram
I
is
can
more of a
see that.
numbers game than it is, sharing your stuff. Sometimes I feel like a lot of people get caught up on that.
Yeah, no, you're
But
totally right.
overall, it's been great for like community involvement and interaction and just meeting people, because I've met you through there. I
Yeah,
met Nate through there, and plenty of other customizers that weren't even on Flickr that started on Instagram, like Speedy Bricks and Tossy Figs and all these guys that I didn't really like know. Like maybe I'd heard of them, but being able to talk to them more on there has been great.
totally. Is Tossie actually a girl?
I don't know. I don't believe so. I'm not exactly sure, because that might have been like a stunt or something. I'm not gonna like assume that they are a girl or a boy, just because it could be
Of course,
one of those
to be
things. But
respectful.
yeah, I mean, and if it is a stunt, I'm not gonna be the one to like expose them for it, just because I don't know. So very good question. Very good question though.
It was just such an interesting twist,
Yeah,
and then I heard from some people that they're like they had known him for a while, them for a while, and they're like, no, they were a guy, and then I've heard the opposite, and I'm just
yeah.
like, Who knows? But the comment section on that post is hysterical,
Yeah, and
to
that's
say
what
the
I
least.
think it might have been for. It might have been for just being a thirst trap for some younger customizers to get in there and just read funny comments and stuff. And
Oh goodness.
they're just riding it at this point, but
There was one of those. There was like I wish I could remember the name, but it was some World War II kid had created a trap account basically, and it was like, female World War II Lego builder or whatever the
oh,
case was, and like it was getting so many just ridiculous DMs. It was funny.
of course. So that might have been
Yeah,
what that was about, but I'm not going to say for sure. I've never talked to them like voice to voice, so like I
who
cannot
knows? Who
confirm one
knows?
way or the other. That's why like on custom recap, whenever Nate and I talk about Tossie, we just try to refer to them as Tossie, just out of respect
Mm.
for not actually knowing, because nobody really does. I guess I imagine some people do, but
But hey, it's got
who
people talking
knows?
about it.
Yeah,
Either way, if it is a troll, huge respect for committing to it because
yeah,
they're
really.
still going strong. And also, I absolutely love their work. There's some,
One of the best painters I've seen, and
it's
like the
unreal.
the best at getting likenesses that I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
And I have no idea how they do it, if they analyze just like face structure. I think actually they post on their story that um they look at like caricatures of certain characters or whatever, and then that, because the caricature really highlights
Oh,
the most
the
prominent
prominent
aspect,
features.
yeah, the prominent features in someone's face.
Wow.
So then Tossie just takes that and translates that into Lego, and that's, I guess, how they're able to do it, because I'd know no other way, because that crap is just amazing.
That is
I can't get
genius.
likenesses that good. I had Tossie do some likenesses for me, because I was like, I need these figures to look good, and I want you to help me make them. So
That's awesome. Yeah. They're, painting faces is a whole other level. I can't even
yeah,
begin to imagine that.
right. So definitely one of the best like face painters out there that I've seen. But there's so many other like great painters in the community. I think my favorite is probably Anon Figs. He's really good, and
Yes.
Benson Bone is. Those two are like some of my favorites. And then Speedy Bricks too. Those are like top three in terms of just like overall like sculpting ability and painting ability. Just incredible.
Oh, I've never heard of Benson Bone before.
I
I
need
just
a
looked
you.
them
You
up.
might have seen some of his stuff, but he is one of the most like genuinely nice dudes I've ever talked to, and yeah, he's so talented. I'll have to send you some of his stuff, because he'd be probably willing to do this podcast as well. But just some of the
Awesome. Yeah, no, I just found their page. I've never seen them before.
yeah.
There's some really awesome stuff here.
One thing great about some of his stuff is just how like innovative a lot of his work is, because he tries to implement like functionality in some of his figures. Like he
Mm.
did General Grievous from the
Oh,
2003
I've
Clone
seen his
Wars.
the Marshall figure. I saw that one. That was
Oh, the
tremendous.
Marshall, like Cobb Vanth from Mandalorian, or
Yes,
okay,
yes, Cobb Vanth.
yeah, that's a good one. He did a Boba Fett from like the McQuarrie concept, and there's like an action figure of it where the stomach opens up and you can shoot a rocket out of it. And so he put a flick, or like a little spring-loaded shooter in there, so then you can
Oh,
take off the front plate and put a little rocket in there and shoot it out. Just one of the craziest things I've ever seen done in a figure.
that is amazing. I vaguely recall seeing that like a long time ago. I
Yeah, it
never
was
would have
part of the Boba
realized.
Lug collab we did, where we all made different Boba Fetts, and that was
Oh, okay.
his, and it's probably my favorite out of those, just because of how, just including
It,
that little piece of functionality is great.
yeah,
'Cause
right.
you don't see a lot of people doing that, and it's like the innovation that he does is something that like I strive to try to do in some of my stuff, just because it's
Mm,
so creative.
no doubt. All right. Moving. I had one question about, kind of in a similar fashion to your podcast with Nate,
Yeah,
turning on to some creators that you really enjoy and kind of just hit that off
yeah, and
without trying.
that's kind of the whole point of that podcast, is to just showcase other people's work that the YouTube community might not see. Because I feel
Hmm.
like when like a lot of people in the customizing community, especially in the like the YouTube scene, when they think of customizer, they just think of Ross, and that's it. Which, Ross is a very talented painter, especially, but there's plenty of other people out there that are like, you know, really good at painting, and probably like better on some degrees, and it's a shame that they don't get a lot of like notoriety for it, just because they're so talented and they deserve more recognition. So that's what we try to do, is like just highlight, hey, there's this huge community of customizers over here that these people would probably like to see if they're
Mm,
not a part of that community already.
Yeah. Yeah, like if you're following your YouTube channel, you're gonna like these people. Like
Yeah,
you're already involved in a way.
right,
Yeah,
absolutely.
that's a
And
great thing you guys are doing there. I've
yeah.
listened to, I believe, the first one entirely, and I've
Mhm.
dabbled in the second. I've got to listen to the most recent one you guys put out.
Yeah, we got to
But
record another one here soon because we've got like a really big backlog of stuff we need to talk
oh,
about.
I'm
Just because
sure.
both of us have been so busy with work, and Nate especially is granted a little more hectic than I've been recently. So we've kind of had to push it off and focus on other stuff right now. But yeah, we've got a lot of other just great figures we got to go over.
Yeah, we were talking about a bit about the benefits of having a co-host to keep you accountable. So
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely better because he used to do it by himself. He had like a
right,
couple episodes that he'd post, I think, on his YouTube and then also on like Instagram. Yeah,
IGTV.
IGTV. Yeah, he'd post a
Hmm.
couple of them on there, and they're I think they're like relatively quick, like maybe like 15-minute blurbs, and he would just like talk about a figure, say one thing about it, and kind of move on. And he stopped doing them for a while, and I started talking to my buddy Dylan, the Moose Figs, about it,
Oh
and
yeah. Oh
he,
man, that's a name I haven't heard in a while.
yeah.
Is he still active?
Oh, absolutely. Well, his main Instagram got deleted by Instagram, and so he's been
What?
operating on a different one now. He's almost amassed the same amount of followers that he had beforehand, but he goes by
Oh,
Dylan
Dylan the most.
Dylan all the most now. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So he's been bopping up over there. Yeah, he was like a big fan of that I guess that format of just talking about other people's figures and giving them a shout out. So I was like, oh, cool. I was like debating at the time, like that'd be something cool that I'd like to do. And Nate at the time wasn't doing it. And then Nate DMs me out of the blue and he's like, hey, I want to bring this back. Do you want to be on it with me? And I was like, hell yeah, that'd be so much fun.
That's perfect.
So that's what we started doing. And so it's been great having like a co-host on there. It gets a little hectic when there's three people though.
Yeah,
And
yeah, he mentioned that. He had
yeah, because we
mentioned
had
that.
Dylan on there for I think episode 3, and like it was just hard because when you talk about a figure, you're like looking at it and you just want to say like everything you like about it. And odds are the other two people will say the same thing because they're probably thinking the same thing as you are.
Yeah.
So it gets kind of repetitive to a degree. So I don't know if
And
we
not
want to
being in person, it's hard to, go off body language cues
right
and figure out who
and
speaks
jump
next and
in and
stuff
out.
like that.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And so it was getting a little bit of a challenge, and so me and Nate were kind of just like, okay, I don't know if we want to do another guest on like custom recap, but maybe start doing like a customizer spotlight thing where we kind of interview them and just ask for their like perspective on how they make figures. It'd be like pretty quick stuff, so it'd be like quick, like
That'd be
15-minute
cool.
videos, other than like an hour long kind of interview style thing like that. So it's something we've been playing around with that we want to do, but just haven't really had enough time to really fully plan out and explore. But it's definitely something that we'd like to do because there's a lot of people out here that we talk about their figures, but we don't really like know exactly what their strategy behind it was. That I think they'd be able to explain a little better than we could.
No doubt. Yeah. That'd be awesome. I look forward to it. So, one of my favorite things that you've created is working on some musical artists,
Yeah.
especially because they're from more independent, they're a bunch of independent artists that I've just come to love myself. And then I'm
Hmm.
like, oh my God, like this person's not only a fan, but is creating Lego figures after them. And I felt like for the longest time, music artists, they weren't really represented in what people were creating.
Yeah.
So I found it really refreshing that not only like A, you're paying attention to making them, B, they're artists I love and care about, and C, I forgot what my C was, but there was another point. What got you involved with starting to make some musical artists?
Oh man, that's a great question, but I'm glad you asked it because doing the music stuff has been something that I've really loved doing just because it's a nice break from like heavy sculpt work and making Star Wars figures. Because like I love Star Wars. It's always going to be like my number one passion, but man, it gets boring sometimes and just drains
Sure.
me. So trying to think of what really started it all. I'm trying to remember what the very first one I made back. I think I had seen some like album covers that people were selling at Brick Fair on like tiles and stuff, and I was like, oh, I
Oh, okay.
think that'd be pretty cool to make a figure of that or something like that, and like recreate an album cover. So I did that with the Beatles, and I did that with Chance the Rapper
Yeah.
back like a couple years ago. And so that was like the first two projects that I really did, and I recreated the album covers, and they turned out pretty good. But then recently I just started getting into more like kind of indie alternative stuff, and they have some like really cool album covers, and I was like, that'd be something that'd be really cool to try to recreate some of my favorite album covers and get them printed, because I have like a little record room build that I haven't showed off yet that has all of the tiles like on a wall.
Oh
So
man, do
I'm
you have extras of the tiles? Because I am gonna
not
need
yet,
that.
but I want to get them printed because I
Please
want to.
do.
Yeah, because do you know High on Bricks or Fig Factory?
Yeah, of
Yeah,
course, Chris.
yeah, Chris. Yeah, so he was the one that printed all those for me, and I want to see if he can get some done maybe before Brick Fair. I think it might be a little too tight now, but at some point I'd love to get duplicates or several of each printed up so then I can sell them to people, because I
Please,
know people would want them.
I'm putting down for the pre-order right now.
Okay.
I need it.
Yeah, it kind of just all sprouted from me wanting to create album covers. So I was like, okay, I guess I'll just make the figures to go along with it. And so I just started doing that with the covers, and then that led me into just doing, okay, I just want to kind of make some of my favorite musicians to have them displayed up. Um, yeah, which one's caught your eye? I'm curious.
Oh, my absolute favorite is Because the Internet, Childish Gambino.
Yeah,
Just because it's one of my favorite albums of all time.
that
And
was
it also makes me envy you painting that Hawaiian shirt, because I hope to one day get to that level.
that thing was definitely
Um,
annoying. I remember just painstakingly doing that.
so yeah, that one definitely stands out for me.
That was like one of the first ones that I did, like, because I started doing that right at the start of quarantine, I think, just because I
mm,
was home from school because we got yeeted off campus. So I was like, oh, maybe I'll start working on these album covers and stuff. So he was like the very first one that I made, like in, I guess, like the new wave of stuff that I started working on last year.
that's
But
great.
yeah, he turned out pretty good. I was really happy with him. And then I think the one I was really, really proud of was the blonde cover, Frank Ocean.
Yes, the posing came out so good too.
Yeah, that was my first time kind of trying out a posed figure, because a lot of people in the community do like statue figures with cool poses and stuff, and I was like, okay, well, I'm not gonna like cheapishly Photoshop this arm in there to be bent
Mm,
like that. So I was like, I'm gonna have to sculpt this arm, and so I did, and I think it turned out pretty good, and I was really happy with that. And I have that one printed out on like a 12 by 12 that's in my room on my wall.
really, that's so good.
Yeah,
Did you edit on the water, or you sprayed it
I
on
sprayed it
physically?
on a little spray bottle. Yeah.
That's great.
I was like, I need to have this little practical effect in there, because that is not going to be easy to Photoshop on there.
I'm looking at it now. I just realized that the background's 1x1 tiles.
It is, yeah.
That's so
I
good,
ordered
man.
like 50 of them off of Bricklink just for that picture. It probably only used like 12 of them in the background.
Right. Only 12 get shown, but
Yeah, pretty much. But
yeah, I'm such a huge fan of what you're doing with those. I just realized maybe it was intentional or not. Oh man, I wish I could figure out in time what the person's Instagram is, but there was this Instagram I came across of this guy making mini canvases.
ooh,
Um,
matte acrylic.
yes, that's it.
Yes.
And after discovering his page, that inspired me to paint some albums on 2x2s.
Oh yeah, how'd that go?
It went surprisingly well, and I really
Nice.
enjoyed it, but I gotta dive deeper into it.
Which ones did you do?
I did, what's it called? I did for a buddy of mine, Amaze Bricks, Xander, Lil Uzi Vert's,
Oh, nice.
what's it called? The perfect Lil Uzi Vert tape.
Okay,
I got you. I'll find you a photo real
gotcha.
quick.
Yeah, I'm not a huge Uzi guy, but I'm familiar.
Understandable. All right, there it is. I'm gonna send you it. I did that, and I did 808s and Heartbreak, but
Ooh,
808s and
nice.
Heartbreaks is super simple, so
Yeah, just
there's
a
not
little.
much to go off on that.
Oh, that's sick, man. That turned out great.
I was surprised. I was really happy with that, so I want to experiment with
That's really clean. Yeah, you got to do more of those.
a lot more difficult ones that aren't just what I want to do. The reason I did the 808s and Heartbreak is that I want to do Kanye's full discography.
Oh, that'd be
So
cool.
we'll get onto that
Have
eventually.
fun doing all the little pixels on Dark Fantasy.
Oh goodness.
That's that's gonna be a fun one.
Unless I just do the uncensored version.
Yeah. Well, hey, Jesus is King will be pretty easy.
True. Or Yeezus.
Yeah.
Well, actually not really. If I really want to get technical with it and make like
Yeah, it might have some
the
like weird
effect to the
shadings in it.
record.
Jesus is
that
King. You could literally just use like a
blue.
like yeah,
Blue.
just blue 2x2 round tile or something like that. That'd be easy. You can make Donda too and just have him holding nothing because it's never gonna come out.
Goodness. Or Yeezus. What
Yeah,
was
or,
it? No, Yandi.
Yandi.
My bad.
Yep. Poor Kanye.
Man, he's down bad right now. It's not
Yeah.
even funny.
Yeah. That dude, I almost met him one time because he came to where I went to school. I went to school in Dayton, and Dave Chappelle lives in Dayton and was throwing
Oh,
like a
really?
huge like block party. And
Uh-huh.
Kanye showed up and was just like strolling around downtown Dayton with Kim and the kids. And apparently they
Yo.
walked through because on UD's campus they have like a student neighborhood, and apparently
Mhm.
they just walked through one of the streets and like people saw them, but didn't like nobody made a ruckus about it because people were just like, "Is that fucking
Gonna be
Kanye
respectful.
West? Is
Yeah.
that Kanye West?" Like no people were just dumbstruck about it. But apparently he came through campus or something and walked through the streets and nobody really knew. And then he was performing. He was doing like his Sunday service at this block party, and I was like, damn! And it was free to go, but like you had to get tickets still, and the tickets were
Mm,
all gone, so I
gone.
couldn't go
Of
see
course,
him.
of course.
Yeah,
That's really sick though.
could have been close.
Before it would have been close. Before we move on from the musical members, I just want to mention hers.
Yeah.
You perfectly captured their likeness, and that's
Well,
honestly one of the most tragic stories I've heard.
yeah, I would take responsibility, but those are the figures that Tossie did the
Oh,
likenesses
right.
on.
Right, I
Yeah,
recall that. Yes.
yeah,
So
he.
you did the torsos and
I
she
did,
just
yeah,
handled the
torsos
faces?
and the guitar and the bass and all of the, like the hair and the hat and
Mhm.
everything. But Tossie, I was like, I want these figures to be like perfect, just because, just out
Yes.
of respect for them and just wanting those figures to be like perfectly capturing them. I wanted the likenesses to be good, so that's why I reached out to Tossie. He was like, "Hey, please do these," and Tossie did like a great job on them.
Yeah,
But
unbelievable job.
yeah, just
That was a great call to
yeah.
collab like that.
Yeah, but those guys, like, they're one of my favorite bands. I feel bad because I like discovered them after they had passed,
Oh, you're
and
such a poser.
no, but yeah, they're probably some of my favorite figures I've ever made, just because like I love the faces on them and I love their outfits. They look so unique amongst all my other figures that are just like
Mhm.
Star Wars stuff,
Right,
and
yeah.
and they look great amongst all the musicians because all of the musicians that I've made all look very different from one
They
another and
do,
are
for
very
sure.
distinguishable, I think. So they're some of my favorites for sure. And I'm happy that you kind of knew who they were too.
Yeah, you haven't posted one yet that I didn't know already and was already a
Really.
fan of, so
Nice.
hey, maybe one day you'll, break that streak
Maybe. Oh,
and,
hey, I'll ask
turn
you
me on to
this.
something new.
Do you listen to the Marias?
The Marias, that sounds familiar, but no.
Yeah, well they're she's my
That's the
next
next
one.
one?
Yeah, the lead
That's the
singer is
next
my
one, what
next
do you
one that I
know?
want to make cuz they've got an album coming out June 25th, their like debut album. And so I want to might have it done by the time this episode goes up.
I
But
actually might not have even, heard of them before, quite
yeah,
honestly.
but I imagine like if you listen to like alternative stuff, like if you've listened to like Claro, then you've
Mhm.
probably heard their songs on like Spotify playlist or like
Right,
on
right,
a
right,
radio
on the
mix
radio.
based on them. Yeah, so you might have heard one of their songs and be like, oh
Well,
yeah, I kind of recognize
I'm
that
gonna
tune.
check out, Super Clean Volume 1.
Yeah,
Seems like they're only full-length sort of
but yeah,
deal,
they've
so
got Volume 1 and Volume 2 are like their
Oh,
kind
and
of
Volume 2.
yeah,
Cool.
kind of like their smaller EPs, and they got a few singles out now for the album that are both pretty good. But yeah, I'm
Awesome.
excited for
Gonna check
that.
that out.
Yeah, it's interesting because one of the figures I'm like the figure I want to make is wearing like a fur jacket, and I
Mhm.
don't know how to do that yet. I've been
Okay.
playing with the idea of using like faux fur that I got off of Amazon
Mhm.
and just making a jacket and like gluing it onto like I'll have to like sand down the arms a lot and glue this fur onto it because it's not something I could paint and capture the look of, and it's not something I could sculpt and capture the look
What
of.
if you did, like, the ball joint arms so
I
that they're
could.
kind of floating a bit?
Yeah, so I was thinking about doing that just because I don't want them like pressing down on the fur because it's going to really
Yeah.
mat it down. So I was probably going to do like magnets or the ball
Oh,
jointed arms.
magnets would be really creative as well.
Yeah, and those are pretty loose too, so you can easily move them around, but they're still going to stay on there. So that's actually a good idea. That's actually a good idea. So I might go with that. So
I
thank you for recommending that.
You're welcome. I'm actually kind of blown away with the magnets idea, though, because if you just what you would be able to do is just shove it right into the, armhole,
Yeah,
on the torso, and then you wouldn't actually need to cut the hole for the arm to go into, which
yeah.
would make the cloth, like, seamless.
Mhm.
That would
Oh
be
yeah, I
really
guess you
cool.
could make like an actual legit jacket if I wanted
Yeah,
to, but that is like some like micro level like tailoring that I cannot do because I do not know how to
like
do that.
legitimate tailoring, yeah.
Yeah, legit
Oh,
sewing clothes for my Legos.
I'm trying to recall, I was just talking to, Griff about something that I might literally have to sew together.
Oh my god.
Oh, it was, I got one of Pete's Customs resin droids,
Okay.
and I want to make it like I put a trench coat on him from like Cape Madness, and I'm
Mhm.
like, oh, that looks really cool, but it'd
There's
be
no
better if he
arms.
had, yeah, if it had
Yeah.
sleeves. And then I was like, huh,
Have fun matching that cloth type because I have no idea what type of cloth
dude.
Cape Madness uses
I
for that.
God only knows, man. The best bet for Lego cloth is using Lego cloth.
Yeah.
That's the best solution I've found.
Even so,
Um,
I've just been used to using Cape Madness stuff just because like I know how to work with it, know how to paint it, know how to make sure it doesn't fray at this point. So like
mm.
I prefer that over Lego cloth like 99% of the time. And the only time I use Lego cloth is when I'm out of Cape Madness cloth. Which sucks because Cape Madness's store is like still not up and running yet.
Yeah,
They
he's
have a
still
website.
MIA.
Yeah. And so like I ordered from him back in like December, and I was just like, "Hey man, I need some cloth." And I just emailed him, and he's like, "What do you want?" And I was like, "Give me 3 large sail pieces." And he was like, "Okay." So I ordered these 3 large sails from him, and I've just been cutting from them and using them
From it,
as
right?
fodder. Yeah.
That's really smart. I'm gonna have to consider that next time he's up and running like official.
Yeah.
But like I've known that some people were reaching out for like bulk orders to make some stuff like
Mhm.
serious and just getting left on red and sort of, or like they
Yeah.
get one email back and then they can't follow through to finalize things.
Yeah, I was surprised I was able to do it pretty easily because I know some people have been having that issue, but
Mm,
I did it a while ago. So who knows? Maybe he's not really doing custom orders anymore unless it's like small.
who knows? I
One
just hope he
other
comes back.
one other third party guy that's been kind of MIA is Tiny Tactical. What's up with him?
Oh, so that guy is a solo act. He does it all on his own, but he
Oh
has a
really?
full-time job already.
Oh really?
So
Steve,
yeah,
right? Is that his name?
Steve, yeah,
Yeah.
he's a super, super nice guy.
Yeah, I've had
Um,
very minimal interaction with him when I've just like been chatting with him in emails and he seemed very
right.
nice, but it's like been so long since I've ever ordered from them just cuz like I all I want are like glove tops and they're always out of
Mm,
stock.
mhm. Yeah, the deal with him is, he's up in Canada,
Yeah,
so the long shipping times is that he waits until there's a bunch of orders, and then he goes across the border and sends them in the US.
right.
And then also just who knows with his personal life and then having a full-time job to manage this as a part-time gig.
Mhm.
There's a lot of demand, so it gets difficult, I'm sure.
I imagine that's got to be tough doing that though with COVID and everything cuz I don't even know
Oh, yeah.
if
It
Canada
slowed
has.
down
Yeah,
it slowed down heavily once
cuz
the cough hit.
yeah, I thought like Canadian travel that was like for, just casual like
Mhm.
was restricted or prohibited like
Yeah.
to be able to cross the border into the US if it was non-essential. So I wonder if he's been able to get through
I
that or
think
if he's
he's
just been
only
shipping from Canada or if he's even doing
No, no,
anything.
he's gone from the US, but it's only been, like, once or twice since, you know, the past
Really?
year or so, from what I know,
Jeez.
just seeing what people order and that people are actually getting orders, I only recall, like, 1 or 2 waves of stuff
Oh
getting out.
man. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Hopefully he's able to come back soon because I know there's a lot of people that really
There's
enjoy his
such a huge
stuff.
demand. No,
Yeah.
I'm a big fan, man. He's got unmatched quality for what he
For
does, so.
real. Like the quality of the plastic and then just the molds too and just how small
You
they
know
are.
what kind of plastic he uses?
Is it? It's not ABS, is it? It's got to be
No,
something stronger.
no, not at all. It's, the same sort of plastic that's in the grip of a Glock. Like the polymer, it's that
Really?
same plastic.
Wow.
Or so I've been told. So I've been told. I
I
don't
mean, it
know
makes
what the sources
sense.
are.
It makes sense for him to
Yeah,
use
and
that.
it's very fitting for military, yeah.
Yeah. That's so
But,
funny. But it's durable.
no doubt,
It's so
it's great
crisp
stuff.
too. Like that
But it's
stuff is.
also kind of brittle in a weird way as well. It's
Yeah, it's
it's
like you
weird to
can't
work
break it,
with
but
when
when you
you,
do, it shatters type of deal.
mhm, mhm, when you cut into it, you realize, it's not my favorite plastic to work with, but the quality alone, if you're gluing it at all, top notch.
Yeah. And I was gonna say it's kind of like resin too, because I guess like
Yeah.
with resin you can't like make a smooth cut through it. It's like you make a slice and you got to chop all the way down. It's going to break it right on that slice.
Mhm.
And if you mess up, then you mess up. Like that thing is breaking into a million pieces.
Yeah, I'd heard recently just to heat it up a little bit and then make your cut on resin. I've yet to try that out, but,
Yeah, because I know heating it up makes it a little softer, so you can probably
yep,
slice it like a birthday cake.
yep.
But
So I'm
something I
looking
got to
forward to
try.
do
I'm
that.
not really too pressed. The only thing I've really had to do that for is I got some of AV's backpacks for his Bad Batch, and
Oh, sure.
I don't like using neck pegs because I just glue them onto the
Mm.
back. So I've just like literally just snapped the back peg off and it works fine because it's like that's a weak point of it, so it just snaps it right there and it works pretty good.
That's
But
great.
I know Andrew's probably cringing on the inside hearing that, but that's when you got people like me that don't do decals and are just like, I'm painting this shit. He's another guy that started pretty small and just ramped up to being.
He blew up out of nowhere. It feels like
It's
it
the
was
clone
overnight success almost.
I think it probably just started from the decal demand because he was like one of the only decalers left. And then now it's like he's the go-to guy. Like his stuff. Whenever I see decals, I'm just like, I honestly couldn't tell if that's Andrew's or somebody else's at this point. Probably bad to say because I imagine decalers can say that about painted figures and we get pissed off. But to not discredit anybody else, but like he's definitely one of the biggest guys and also a very nice guy as well.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. We've kind of I wanted to ask you one specific music question.
Yeah.
What have you been listening to lately? What's something you could turn somebody else on to besides the Marias?
Besides the Marias, well, a lot of like, let me pull up my Spotify real quick because I've got that here. But the Marias has been like big go-to. My friend Andy, delta.png, he's one of the other customizers that I'm really good friends with. He's a big fan of Phoebe Bridgers, so he's got me listening to her a little bit.
She's great.
Yeah.
Right now, have you heard of Adrian Lenker or Big Thief?
The Big Thief, yes, I've heard of Big Thief. I like Paul by them a lot. I think there's another song that I really like by them.
They're possibly one of my favorite groups. Brockhampton?
I was going to say Brockhampton.
Are we going to talk Brockhampton?
Yeah,
go
ahead.
The latest album, all bangers, bro.
Yeah, I was very happy with how Roadrunner came out. And Jared Figs, he's another big Brockhampton fan. Did you see his Brockhampton figures that he made?
Yes. His album covers were phenomenal.
Yeah. I got all those printed for him too. I had Chris do all of those. So
I'll pre-order on those too.
Yeah, I'm sure Jared would be willing to throw those up. But yeah, that was a great album. Like at first I was kind of just like, wow, that's pretty good. But like the more I listen to it, the more I'm just like, wow,
totally agree.
Yeah. And I'm also I collect vinyl and stuff on the side just as another, endless money pit.
I want to get into vinyl so bad. I've gotten two now as a gift, and it's so tough. I can't take up another plastic addiction.
Yeah,
not
I know.
yet.
And that's how kind of I am. I buy very selective vinyl at this point, and so when they put up Roadrunner up for pre-order a couple days ago, and they put two versions up. There's like one that comes with like the normal cover and with like the CD case or whatever and Joba on the front, and it's got like a white disc, and then they have like a black disc that's in like an alternate cover that's like a deep blue and it looks really cool, and one of them is exclusive and one's the normal one. I was like, I cannot decide, so I ordered them both.
No,
I was like, that's $75 I'll never see again. It's not coming out till 2022 at some point.
Oh man.
Yeah. That was a great album. What's your favorite track off of it?
Probably Windows.
Yeah, that's probably my favorite too.
It's so good.
Merlin's got such a good verse on that.
He's so insane on that.
Yeah, and then
I started off listening to it. Like they were all really good, solid songs, but for me, I listen to like a lot of random stuff, and then it's like if it doesn't catch me right off the bat, I'll just kind of move on. And this one, like I listened the first week as it came out, I'm like, yeah, that's good, and then it got shelved.
Yeah.
And then it came up, it was like, hey, from Spotify, like jump back in. I was like, oh yeah, sure. And then it's been downhill. It hasn't left the rotation since. Oh man.
I think that's probably been the album that I've listened to like the most of theirs, just like front to back. Because like with Ginger, I really liked Ginger. I know some people didn't, but like I'd listen to like the first half and then kind of drop off from there. But this album, it's been like the full thing front to back, like no skips, nothing, and just listen to it. And I've probably listened to it like 50 times at this point. It's been that
Between Iridescence and Ginger, both of those, I would just find the tracks I like and pick through.
Yeah, that's kind of how I am.
All the saturations, I could just listen cover to cover. Because I wouldn't go... I want to get into like making playlists for myself to listen off of, but like it's so much work and I never do. So I'll just like, what's kind of the vibe I'm looking for? Right. And then I just pick an album and I just play that and then, move on. But
yeah, it's kind of how I was for a while. And then I was like, okay, I need to start making playlists that like have a certain vibe. Cause I've got like one that's like very specific. It's like nighttime driving while it's raining out. And it's like stupid crap like that work.
That's great.
But yeah, that's been probably the stuff I've been listening to the most is with that album. That album's been kind of like simmering down a little bit for me just because I've been kind of on the Maria's hype train for the new album recently. But
Mm.
I can always jump into some Brockhampton.
Yeah, it's always on the back burner. It's always
Yeah,
there for us.
Oh, another good one is Men I Trust. Do you listen to them?
Oh my God. Forever Live Sessions. I just was listening in the
Amazing.
car. It's literally in my, here, I'm going to send you a photo because it's literally in my, my, what, just recently played up
Yeah.
there.
That album
Dude,
is so good. And I got that on vinyl as well for Christmas.
it's unreal.
But it's funny because like with the record I ordered of that, like they signed some of them. And so like I'd put it on my Christmas list or whatever. And I asked my mom, I was like, did you buy this? And she's like, maybe. And I was just like, can you see if it's signed for me, please? Because I want to know. It's not, but it would have been really
That's
cool
all
if
right.
it was. Yeah. I got the Maria's album signed though. I was able to.
Hey.
Yeah, so that's going to be good. So when you listen to them,
then I'll
you'll
be
know.
like, I'll be jelly. Man, what sucks is I was so looking forward to getting into going to concerts and live shows, and then
Corona.
Yeah, but
Have you been
I'm
to many
looking forward to
concerts
it.
at all?
Not really. I've been
No.
to like one or two with my family, but it wasn't something I wanted to go to necessarily. Like it wasn't a band I was solely passionate about. So
Yeah.
that's what I was looking forward to because this kind of hit right as I was gaining, independence. And I was like, this
Right.
is gonna be awesome. I'll go to like small shows, and here I am, not going to small shows.
Yeah. Well, I mean, things are starting to open up a little more, so I imagine it's going
I
to be a
look
little more
forward to it.
accessible. I mean, I've only been to like 2 concerts, 2 notable ones. I saw ELO.
Oh, okay. That's
And
awesome.
then I saw Logic, which is
Oh
interesting.
boy.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Yeah. Went through that phase like early college, late high school, and now it's like never listen to Logic ever again.
Never again.
But it was a fun show.
I liked Logic when it was just the Bobby Tarantino. I got into him there.
Yeah.
And that was a solid album. And then, no,
when I went
it
to
had
see
its
him,
time for me, and that was it.
When I went to see him, it was on his tour of like the second Bobby Tarantino mixtape he dropped. Because like everything after that wasn't great, and so wasn't in that era of Logic, thankfully. But he retired, and I hear he's probably coming back from something he's announced. So the world is not ready for more Logic.
The world doesn't need more Logic.
No, it's surpassed the need.
There's plenty of Logic to go around. I know
he likes like nerdy stuff. So what are the chances he listens to this and is like, wow, these guys suck?
Yo, could you imagine? Imagine he was low key into the Lego community.
Logic, I made a Lego minifigure of you. Please go look at it. I do have a Logic figure. Have you seen it?
Yes, I have.
Okay,
it's really good.
Yeah.
It doesn't deserve to be that good, but it's good. All right.
That'll be our luck.
If that didn't bore anybody and they're still here.
Yeah, I was gonna say we were talking about music for like probably like 15 minutes at this point.
I knew as soon as I jumped into that it was gonna be so,
but man,
that was my selfish desire.
I'm glad you asked about it because like music is something that I absolutely adore listening to, obviously, and just like getting into and finding new artists and stuff and collecting the records and everything. So it's always good whenever somebody asks about that because I'm just like, yeah, I'd love to talk about this because it's not something people usually ask about when it comes to like Lego customizers. It's always like, oh, what paint do you use? Can I have this type of stuff?
Yeah, I totally agree with that. It's such a fun thing to bond over.
Right.
Do you have any talent in music at all?
No, absolutely not.
Okay. See, that's the same thing for me. And now I've just found such a love for it because it's something so unobtainable.
Yeah.
Like seemingly unobtainable for me.
Like
I'm not going to dedicate my time.
Yeah, because you're like, wow, these people are really talented because I could not do this.
Yeah, and it's just like, man, I wish I could express myself like this. Like it's so beautiful, and when it has like such an impact with you, you're like, man, that's like such a talent.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think it just kind of, there's probably another level of depth and appreciation you have once you actually understand what's going on, but I can only imagine how, like, if I'm feeling it this much and I don't know what's going on really, that must
imagine
be insane.
if you do know what's going on.
Yeah.
I've got do you remember Sean Cassidy? Or TR Legos fan?
Oh yeah, sure.
Yeah, so he's I think he's musically talented. He's in a band, so
okay.
Yeah, I think he might be going to Brick Fair this year, so maybe he'll bring his guitar and do a little concert there for us.
That'd be sick.
Yeah, I think he does kind of more like kind of punk rock type stuff. So I don't know if that's exactly what you're into, but hey,
I've been kind of getting into a little bit of a punk thing.
oh yeah, I know he is real into Green Day.
Okay,
He's got
sure.
like Green Day tattoo and everything, so like he's a big fan. So that style of music is probably what he might be serenading everybody with.
I'm down for it, man.
Any
That
concert
and
will do.
Midwest emo, I've been really
Oh,
diving in
nice.
down there.
Not a genre I am familiar with, but I'm familiar with just being in the Midwest, but not the emo. Ohio gang.
oh, oh man. My some of my good buddies, Dash Bricks and Skep Rocker in Ohio,
Oh
and
yeah,
there's just so many funny memes
dude. There's
of
so
just
many people in
talking
Ohio.
shit about Ohio. It's
Yeah,
so
well, I mean it's
good.
terrible, but could be worse.
If any meme, like we're in a group chat for Citizen Brick collectors, because that's what they're involved
Yeah,
in, and I dabble, you
you
could say.
dabble a little bit.
Dabble a little too much, but
Everybody's got their one thing.
any anyone any Ohio meme that anybody comes across in that group just
Gets sent.
instantly gets shared.
Yeah,
Instantly.
somebody
Just
somebody in our group made a separate chat with just the people that are from Ohio and just
no.
sends just stuff, sends memes that are making fun of Ohio and at Ohio's expense. Just do it all the time. He's like, "This you?" And we're just like, "Yes." Unfortunately.
Oh man.
Yes.
Ohio can't catch a break, but honestly it doesn't deserve to catch a break, so
No, not so much. But yeah, could be worse. Could be
could be
far worse
worse.
than like,
Could be
you know,
worse. You could be in New Jersey,
yeah,
so
could be in New Jersey, could be in like well, I was gonna say Utah, but Nate is in Utah, so
Utah's chill. They're doing their own
I
thing.
guess so. I guess so.
Oh
Maybe like
man.
Montana or Kansas. They don't really have a lot going on. You don't
Yeah.
hear
Oh,
anything about
I mean,
Montana.
I don't even want to bring up Alabama. That's just like the punching bag.
Yeah,
Like
that
they
in
already get
Kentucky.
enough
We're too
shit, you
close to
know.
Kentucky that their stuff just
They're
spills over.
dealing with their own thing, you know.
Yeah.
They got their own issues down there.
Some wild stuff to be talking about on a Lego podcast.
Oh yeah, I embrace it, man. This is just this is what you get.
Good conversation.
Absolutely. I think we could wrap it up with one more Lego question to
Oh,
put us
sure.
back on track before we
Sure.
go into the copper drop.
Yeah.
What is your favorite figure that you've created?
That I've created. Ooh. I mean, easy answer would be the General Grievous that I made in like 2019.
Oh, see, that's perfect because I had that. I wanted to talk about that as well because
Yeah.
Nate was gassing you up about the casted Grievous that's coming out,
Yeah.
and now I
And
need to inquire. I need to find out more about this Grievous.
yeah, but that one's like the easy answer just because that one's like my like pride and joy just because I spent so much time working on that. And
Right.
it's also just been such a pain in my ass as a project just to get done. Because I'll give you a little timeline here of I'm gonna grab
Please,
it real quick
please.
just so I can look at it. But yeah, a little timeline of how this started. So it was like I was working through my like Star Wars Skywalker saga project where I was going through and making figures of each of from each of the different films in their like release order. So it's coming up to start working on the prequels, and I was like trying to plan ahead, and I was like, at this point, I wasn't really a sculptor at all. So I was like, hey, I need someone to make me a Grievous so I can paint it up. And so I was talking to Andrew Vu about it at Brick Fair. And he's like, oh, yeah, I can do one. And I was like, oh, really? And he's like, yeah, I can start one. I've always been wanting to do that. And we can like collaborate on it. And he was like, I've been getting into casting a little bit. So maybe we could like cast it or something. I was like, yeah, it sounds great. And so like almost like a year goes by and like no progress is made on it just because like his business was really starting to build at that point. Because when we talked about this, like he was still just doing like decal stuff on the side. He was still like actually customizing and making his own figures and stuff.
Right.
And so he was still pretty small, and then he just started to get big. So he didn't like have time to work on it. So it got to the point like in late 2018, I was like, yo man, are you going to be able to do this? He's like, honestly, probably not. I'm not going to be able to sculpt this thing. So I was like, send it over to me and I'll see what I can do. So he sent it over to me in like December, and I sculpted this thing up in like a month and sent it back to him. And it turned out to be like one of my favorite sculpts that I've ever done just because it's so complex and detailed, and it's got all of the joints and everything in it, which is something I never really did too much. And I was like really just going all out on this thing. And so I sent it to him to get casted, and he sent me back a copy in like late February, early March. So I was able to paint it out and get my figures out. But since then, like we haven't been able to get any more out.
Mm.
And so like almost a year goes by, and this is like summer of last year, and I start doing sculpt work as usual, and I got in contact with a guy, Forge
Right.
510 on Instagram. He works a lot with Morphonauts, who I know you're
Hmm.
familiar with, and he
Yeah, I'm hoping to get Morphonauts on soon.
yeah, that'd be cool, yeah. But I got in contact with him, and I was like, hey man, I see he's doing like some like small scale casting stuff, and I was like, hey, do you want to like cast a couple helmets and armor pieces for me? He's like, yeah, sure. So we got some Mando torsos done, and some like pre-Vizsla helmets and Bo-Katan helmets and torsos and arms and stuff done. And I was like, hey, do you want to do this Grievous for me? Because I want to get this thing out. And he's like, yeah, sure. So I had Andrew send me back all of my master stuff, all of my master sculpts, and he sent me this gigantic bag full of just like miscasted parts. So I was
Oh
able to like,
boy.
because when I sculpted Grievous, I did like a head, one arm, like one complete leg, and like one alternate like thigh pad or one thigh piece, just because like they're symmetrical. So it's like I'm not going to make two. I can just get the same one
Right.
done.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So like I only sculpted one arm, and then Andrew cut it at the elbow and re-glued it to get like a different pose out of it. I sculpted the shoulders separately, so I had to like recreate all of the arms using all of these miscasted pieces. Then I sent it, and then I sculpted a cape for it and some sabers and sent it off to Forge. And I had to redo the joint system a little bit just to make sure they're a little tighter. And I'm still need to get a sample of that, but yeah,
Mm.
man, it's been a wild ride, and I just want it to be over with just because I want to get this thing out. And I know a couple other people are starting to do their own like Grievous models. Like Tristan did his own like Lego style, but that's
Yeah,
now
that
under
one was
Nate.
really nice.
Yeah, so I think Nate's got that now. And then I know Morphonauts did a design for somebody. I think Lego Enthusiast, I think is his name. He did a
Yeah, I
model. I
think I
mean,
saw something about that.
they all look like vastly different. So
Yeah,
each one's
that's the
gonna
good thing because the
yeah.
Lego Enthusiast one, I believe, is like super realistic
It's
looking.
super realistic, super kind of stylized, because Morphonauts has like a specific style that he kind of
Yeah.
works in, so it fits right in with his stuff. And then Tristan's is literally just like the Lego one, just with like ball jointed shoulders and just like a couple proportional issues fixed.
Mm.
So like they're all very different. Which like at first I was like, oh come on, I wanted to be like the only Grievous on the market, but now I'm just like they're all so different that it's not going to
Yeah,
even really
you can
matter.
all coexist.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a good thing.
Yeah, and I know people are going to pick each one of them up because there's people out there that will just go crazy for this type of stuff. And the casts that I'm doing are just going to be like super limited. We're only making like 50 of them, just because
Oof.
they're so like hard to do, because they're all these. There's so many pieces in each different one.
Yeah.
They're very thin parts, so you got to be really careful. So we got to have like a really really careful release with them, and that's why I'm like not rushing Forge to get it out, because I want him to like take his time with it. But I don't know if you know, but he's had like a pretty rough year so far, because he's
So I've heard, yeah, it was like a lot of health
yeah, a
issues.
lot of health issues. He's got some sort of cancer. He hasn't really filled me in too much
Oh
on it,
man.
just because it's pretty personal. I'm not really going to like ask him about that type of stuff.
Mhm. Mhm.
But yeah, he's been dealing with that. He's been going through chemo, and then his brother passed away not too long ago, and so this dude's just been getting hit left and right with just these terrible things. But that dude is like one of the strongest dudes ever, just because he just keeps pushing through it, and he's still like doing stuff on top of it. And he just launched a business with Morphonauts. They have their own little
Yes.
brand going now, which is great.
Yes. The statuette figures are really neat.
Yeah, they're their own scale. That I'm going to talk them up a little bit because I think they're great.
Oh, really? Are they
Yeah.
their own
They're
scale?
their own scale. They're like I think like 2 to 2.5 inch style figures, little bigger than Mega Blocks, and they're posable and everything. And I want to get a couple to paint up, just because I think they're great, and Morph does such a great job. And it just like
Oh,
that
wait,
being
that's like their unique ones,
yeah,
right?
yeah. And
Okay, I
he
was
does
talking
have
about
some the
the
Lego
Lego
statues.
styled,
Yeah,
right. Are
right. Yeah,
those
he's got
larger or those are Lego
those. I
scale?
think those are Lego scale, from what
Okay,
I
okay.
recall. I don't have any of those yet, but I would like to get some in, just because I think those are really cool looking. But like
They are really nice.
yeah, their own like personal line of figures is something that I'm like
Yeah.
super into, just because they're doing their own like toy design. I just think that
Mhm.
is just super cool for them to be doing that type of stuff, and I think like Forge has been talking to me about it for like a couple months now, and he's really excited about where they want to take it, and they're hoping they get more people on board. So like I would love to contribute once. I think Forge is going to send me a couple samples for me to paint up, just because I think they're really cool, and I want to promote them because it's just, I think they're so unique, and that's exactly what I want other people to start doing, is like making like legit their own toy brand at this point.
That you got me actually really hyped for those because I kind of overlooked it just because the themes weren't
Yeah,
necessarily something I'm interested in.
right now they
But
don't have like too
fully
much.
realizing, that it's kind of like GI Joe style articulation and all,
Yeah.
but at that super tiny scale,
Mhm.
that is something to marvel at. These are really nice.
Also, Morph is like a powerhouse when it comes to sculpting stuff digitally.
Yeah,
Like that dude, I think his name is Bo. He just sits down and just churns out all of these really impressive sculpts. And I told him, I was like, he was like, what do you guys want to see? And I was like, hey, it'd be cool to see a Destiny character. And like week later, he had Cage 6 from Destiny up and ready to go. And I was just like, oh man, that is amazing. So I want to get that once he makes it available. But like,
that is, yeah.
yeah, just
I
the
keep
fact
on
that
saying, sorry.
I was just going to say that just the fact that they can just move that quickly and get that many new products out in that specific scale is just
Mm,
super impressive.
absolutely. All the more power to them, and good luck to Forge and all he's going through.
Yeah, I was gonna call with him sometime this week. I think he had some other treatment thing going on earlier this week, but I need to get a status update on some of the stuff that we've been working on, because he's been doing some Mando casts for me. It kind of sucks because like I sculpted like a Boba helmet right around the time Nate released all of his stuff. So it's kind
Mm,
of like old news at this point, because I was just like, yeah, I'm gonna have a cool Boba helmet out for you guys to buy, and then Nate just came and just swept that out from underneath me almost. I mean, I'm not complaining because like he did a great job on his stuff. I'm just like, hey, if anybody wants these, I'll have them. So
for sure. There
more
will be a
variety.
demand, no doubt.
Yeah, and they're different enough because Nate's got like a very specific look to his Mando helmets, or they're a little more wider and kind of based off of Boba Fett's helmet, whereas mine are kind
Mm,
of more narrower and kind of look more like the ones from the Clone Wars.
right.
So I mean, I think people will like him hopefully. But yeah, we've got a lot of stuff in the works that he's been casting for me that I want to get an update on, just so I kind of know where it's at.
Yeah, absolutely.
But
I
tying
keep
it
on
all back
saying
around,
I keep on saying I'm gonna get more fun, but I still haven't reached out. So after this,
yeah,
I'm definitely gonna hit him up and make it happen.
I
But
haven't talked to him like one to one yet, but just hearing about him from Forge and Nate, he seems like a great guy. So I'm sure
yeah, I've heard he's really nice, so
yeah, he'd probably
that'll make
give
reaching out easier.
he'd probably give a really good perspective on like the toy design stuff, because him and
I know.
Forge both are probably like, Forge is really knowledgeable when it comes to just like the technicalities with that, like the manufacturing process.
Yeah,
So I
the
imagine
two of
he would
them are
just
just like legit. Like they
yeah,
are vetted toy manufacturers at this point. Like
right.
I don't even know where to start with them.
And I'm glad that Morph's been getting like so much work from the Lego community, because it seems like there's a
Hmm.
lot of these resin printer dudes out here that are just like commissioning him to do like their
Everyone
designs,
and
and
their
then they're just
brothers
printing them.
commissioning Morph.
Pretty much, yeah. I saw he closed his commissions because I guess he was getting sick of it, and everybody was like, "Hey, make this, make this, make this." So it's probably getting annoying to a degree, but it's like the dude's doing so many commission projects. It's like I was surprised that he wasn't doing any of the stuff like sooner and making his own brand, because it seems like he's so busy
Mm,
with it.
yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, tying it back all around, I would say
One more
Grievous. Oh,
question.
I
One
was
more.
going to
Oh,
say,
Grievous. You want to
yeah.
go into Grievous?
Oh, yeah.
Sorry.
So
Continue. Continue.
yeah. So with the Grievous casting stuff, like that's been, something that everybody literally asks me about. They're always just like, "When's it coming? When's it coming?" I was like, "I have no idea. Hopefully sometime soon." That's always like my answer, just because I don't really know. But he's like my easy answer in terms of like what my favorite figure is. But like currently, like stuff that I've made more recent than that, because that figure's almost 2 years old at this point. Actually, is over 2 years old.
Oh wow.
I'd probably say like current favorites. I really like my I'm working on Hunter from the Bad Batch. He's turned out really nice. I haven't showed him off anywhere yet, but
I'm
he's one of
loving
my
the teasers
favorites.
for the Bad Batch figs. Those are looking great.
Yeah, well, thank you. Yeah. But him, I really like the Hers figures, and then I also really like my probably my Pre-Vizsla from the Clone Wars that I did last year. Really, just
Okay. Yeah.
really happy with those groups. So yeah, Grievous is the easy one, but I do have like a lot of like smaller figure projects that I just really love.
Yeah. No doubt. All right. One more question before we jump into the copper drop.
Sure.
What's your controversial Lego Star Wars take?
Oh God, Lego Star Wars take. Oh man, that is
Could
that
be
is
in
a
general or
that is a good
customizing.
question. I don't. I'm not like huge into the Lego Star Wars community as a whole, just because
Just the customizing.
just the customizing. Yeah, I mean, like, of course, I collect the sets and everything, but I don't know. It just seems like that Star Wars community just seems. I mean, the Star Wars community in general is always very toxic, but I feel like
Mm,
with the
That's
Lego
any
stuff,
community.
yeah, pretty much. But like, Lego community can be a little bit dicey here or there. But I don't know if I have like a super specific opinion relating to Lego Star Wars. I know I think like most of their current sets are pretty much garbage, but so does everybody
So does
else. I feel
everyone.
like yeah, like the Bad Batch shuttle, like I hate it. I hate it so much just because the figures. Like I know people like them, but like me, just being like super like toned to accuracy, and I'm just like these figures all suck pretty much.
I've seen people really bashing them, but I'm like, what did you expect?
Yeah,
Like, once there's an intricate sort of helmet design or anything,
yeah, they're gonna
you can guarantee it's going to be humongous.
yeah.
Like,
And but I'm sitting here like I'm just like that tech helmet. I'm just like, bruh, that is so terrible. How would anybody approve that? It's like there's so many other people like Nate has one. Even the knockoff companies have one that
yeah,
looks
right?
fine. And it's just like, bro, and those move too. The knockoff company, like the ears and the headset thing move. It's like, bro, Lego, what are you doing? That thing looks garbage. And they made him like light gray and he's supposed to be white. I'm just like, there's so many design choices that I just see them do, and I'm just like, what are you thinking? Like, I know
Just
they're restricted to a specific style, and they can't make it like super accurate, but it's like, come on, like try a little harder at least, so you can turn his head, maybe
just delete the whole thing and start
delete the
over.
whole thing. Yeah, but I don't know. That said, I guess I was like expecting way too much, but like I'm gonna buy the Clone Army Customs figures more likely now, just because
Mhm.
they'll probably be better than the Lego ones. If
To fill the void.
yeah, those ones have
All right.
been looking decent so far. He's posted some renders, and his tech helmet is a little questionable because it's kind of he had like two versions. I don't know if you're familiar with what he's got
I
going
don't think I
on.
have. No.
Oh, he had one of them that had like the eyes printed onto the helmet, other than it being like hollowed out, so it looked pretty funky. But then I saw he was doing another version where it was actually cut out and the eyes were just printed onto the head. But I'm just really curious to see how that will look on a figure. So I'm not going to make
Mm.
like any judgments until I see a physical thing because renders can always be different.
Renders are always dicey. Yeah. No, I want to see the
Yeah.
final product. That's why I dislike if any custom printed brands only display renders on their
Yeah.
site and not the final product.
I think the only like exception to that is Phoenix Custom Bricks because their renders
True, because
usually
you
look
know it's going to
spot
look
on.
exactly like that.
Pretty much,
Yeah.
yeah. And
He's got
I'm
the reputation to
yeah,
get away with
he's
it.
able to do that, yeah. But only figure I have from him is the Bo-Katan from the Mandalorian, and that still hasn't
That's a
come out
great
yet.
one.
That's the only one that I plan on buying until they make like a Boba Fett or something.
Sure.
Another money pit.
Another money pit. It's always plastic, man.
It's always plastic. Shedding paper for plastic here.
All right. This has been a real pleasure.
Absolutely.
So let's move on in to the
To
copper
copper
drop.
drop.
If you like it, you cop it. If you don't, you drop it. First up, I'm actually curious if you are familiar with this guy. We have a custom from the Canvas Dawn, Frank Ocean. They're like these fully packaged musical artist figures. He's been totally killing it. There's some really great stuff from him. How
Yeah,
are you feeling about this?
I don't even know if I've seen that before. I'm gonna check out his page real quick because I'm curious because I think I might have seen him do something else. Yeah, he did a Mac Miller too.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
He's done The Weeknd, Kanye, Mac Miller, Frank Ocean, Tyler.
Think there might have been some controversy with one of those figures. It might have been somebody completely different. Oh, it was the Tyler figure because the Tyler figure he made is very similar to one that Speedy Bricks made and that Nate made because they both made it in that outfit, and that
Oh,
looks
right.
it looks almost identical to how they did the face at least.
Mm.
So a little questionable there. But in terms of the Frank, I want to get back to that. I've never seen somebody print like hair onto
Hair.
the head like that.
Right.
It's
That
interesting.
really surprised me.
It's definitely
It came
interesting.
out well enough, but I'd want to see actually how the back looks.
Yeah. and I like the torso print's good. I think the face, like the closed eyes face, looks pretty good. I just don't know if I'd really have a use for it, just because I have a custom figure of that particular Frank.
Right, right. That
Um,
blows out of the water. But
yeah, so definitely like cool looking figure, but I don't know if I'd personally have a use for it. I really like the packaging style of that though. That's really cool.
yeah,
So
yeah. For
maybe,
me, it's the full package
yeah.
that you're going for here because the digital printing has definitely improved a lot over
Hmm.
the course of what he's making, but it's slightly subpar to what else is out there, and especially for what you're paying
Yeah.
for them. They retail around 30.
Oh, okay.
But
It's a little expensive for like a torso and a head, especially for digital.
right, right. But you get the full package figure, and it's a really cool display piece. So
Yeah, that is a really cool display piece, but I don't know. Again, I don't know if I'd personally have an interest for it. I've got a lot of
I've been
Frank stuff up
tempted.
already.
I've been tempted every time he drops a figure, and I haven't bought one yet. But who knows? Maybe
Yeah,
one of these days.
maybe one of these days, but for now, I'm probably going to have to go with a drop. But that's not knocking it for how cool it looks. Like, I just personally don't need it because I already
Yeah,
have one. I have three,
totally.
actually. I have three Franks.
Yeah, right, right.
Yeah.
All right. Next up, we have the Loki hair and little crown thing from Nate's minifigs.
Yeah. I mean, that thing looks beautiful, I would have to say. And that was a
Some luscious
collaborative.
locks.
Yeah. That was a collaborative project between him and Render Minifig.
Yeah.
I think Render Minifig did like the base model for it, and I think Nate modified it a little bit just to kind of make sure it was printable and everything. But
Hmm.
it looks really good. Right now, I'm not like planning on making a Loki, but I mean, have you been watching the show?
I haven't at all. I
Okay.
honestly, until you just said that it was revolving around a show, I didn't know it was around a
No,
show.
no, yeah.
So,
Yeah, Disney Plus show. Yeah, it's on like its second episode at this point, and it's pretty good. Like I think it's probably one of the best like Disney Plus Marvel shows that they've done because the other two have been like okay, but this one's been like pretty interesting. So like it might inspire me to make a Loki, but we haven't seen Loki wearing his crown piece yet in the show.
mm,
So I mean, very cool piece. I'll probably get one from Nate at some point just because like it's a very cool looking piece, and I think it's designed really well. And I have pretty much all of Nate's inventory, like everything he's made already so far. So I'll probably get it just to add it to the collection, just because it's
right.
pretty nice, very nicely
Yeah,
designed. I'm sure pretty much anybody that's going to be making a Loki from the show is going to be using that piece. So we're going to
no
see it a
doubt.
lot. We're going to see it a lot.
Better get used to it. Buckle in,
Yeah, I
boys.
guess so.
All right. And last up here, a bit of an older release here, but it's still available if you're interested
Oh,
or any
really?
viewers are. From Mini Bigs, there's the custom Childish Gambino. How are you feeling about that? Pad printed by Citizen Brick.
Yeah. So good quality as always. I'm sure you're a
Of
big
course, of
CB guy,
course.
and I appreciate the pad printing. CB's got some great quality as always. Um, Gambino, that's a great outfit for Gambino. That's from the This Is America music video, isn't it?
Yep.
Yeah, so that's very cool looking figure, but I know it's like $40, isn't it?
I believe it's closer to 30,
Oh,
but
is it?
yeah.
If it's closer to 30, then I might actually go and cop that because that's really nice. But I thought it was
Oh.
like $40, and so I was like a little wary because I was like $40 for like one figure is a little much because I don't really buy a lot of
Yeah, it is
printed
40.
stuff.
It is
Okay.
40.
But then here I also am talking about how I bought the Phoenix Custom Bricks Bo-Katan for $105. So it's like can't
Or
really talk
both
too much.
Brockhampton
Or
vinyls.
both Brockhampton vinyls. So yeah, I mean, if Mini Bigs comes to like Brick Fair or something, I could see myself like definitely scooping that up there because that's a really nicely designed figure for
Yeah,
sure.
came out great.
And Mini Bigs has
And
been
it
doing
comes
their
with
own.
the comes out with the tile on
Oh
the side. I
yeah,
don't know. Yeah, like the record. But what were you gonna
that's
say?
very cool. I like how it's like in that Citizen Brick style too. Like it fits very nicely.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know Mini Bigs is doing like their own pad printing now. Like he's got his own like
They
hand
are.
crank thing or something.
They
So
are. I got a I've
which
got a
torso did you
commission with
buy?
them. No, I bought a few. I bought a few. I bought the I shaved my balls for this.
Nice, nice. That was the
And
one I was thinking.
the
It's ridiculous.
most importantly, I bought the DSP torso.
Nice.
That started as a bit of an inside joke amongst that group of Sissenberg collectors I previously mentioned, and it's only grown from there. And I'm a big proponent of DSP. For those unaware, DSP stands for Dick Smoking Prices. So
Nice.
if you ever search on eBay, there's a whole lot of DSP, and
Nice.
we'll just leave it at that. But that's a legendary figure. I couldn't believe when that was like literally one of the first things he made. Everyone was so excited.
Yeah, that's been great. And I was kind of felt obligated to maybe get the Harambe one, hailing from near Cincinnati.
Yes.
So felt obligated to pay.
I
My
got one of
respects,
those too. He's been doing, man. Obviously, like I'm a bit of a CB fanboy, so like you kind of like, oh well, I might as well buy this just because CB printed or yada yada, even though it's like maybe something I wouldn't use. And I thought that I wouldn't be so interested in all the stuff he's been making just because I'm like, okay, well, it doesn't need to check off the box of being a CB item that I buy.
Right.
But some of the stuff has just been so fun and something I haven't seen remotely done by anybody else that I can't help it. And,
yeah, it's just funny because usually stuff like that, like little like I want to say like joke pieces like that, where they're just just printed to be funny. You don't really see people using pad printers for that. Usually that'd be like digital stuff. But like it's funny seeing like just joke items like that put out. So
and just super high quality.
Yeah. Really.
No, I've been loving all he's doing, and I got a joke torso coming down the woodwork with him.
Nice.
I'm actually shipping him all of the parts tomorrow.
Nice. I'm excited to see what he makes with that. And I just looking at this Gambino, I just like want it even more just because it just looks great. I wonder if CB would like have any of those at Brick Fair because I know they're going.
I don't believe so.
It's probably an exclusive then, all right?
Yeah,
maybe.
Yeah, once it's like commissioned out, the stuff.
Let me consult my bank account, see how it feels.
Well, Aaron, it's been a real pleasure getting to know you and chat. This has been a great time, and I look forward to seeing you at Brick Fair.
Yep.
Any last words for the listeners?
Nah, man, it's just going to be a great year at Brick Fair this year. I'm so excited, and I hope more people show up this year, so that way it can be a rocking event to kick on the new year of it, since we missed out on last year. But thanks for having me. I was glad I was able to do this. This is the first like podcast I've done with like a one-on-one host other than Nate in a long time. So I appreciate jumping on like a different platform and just shooting the shit and talking about some random stuff that's going on with the community. So it's always a pleasure. And like I was saying, like it's great to talk about the music stuff just because nobody really asks that sometimes. It's always just about Star Wars and stuff. So it's great to bond with people over that since it's always such a big part of other people's lives.
Yeah, totally. Now it's been a real pleasure and you're always welcome on again.
Oh, absolutely, man. I'd love to.
Yeah. I'll see you at Brick Fair, Mo.
Absolutely. See you there.
Adios.
Thank you all for listening. If you enjoyed this podcast, share it with a friend or leave us a review on iTunes. I want to give a huge thank you to all of our patrons on patreon.com. We have Seth, Luger Enthusiast, Tupolev, Mike, Justin, Francisco, Dashbrick, PK Custom Lego, Milo, Dr. Xbox Live, Jay, Minibigs, and Thomas. I cannot thank you all enough, and if you're interested in supporting the podcast as well, you can check out the link tree in our Instagram bio. It'll lead you directly to it. Once again, thank you, Charlie, for creating this theme music. Please show him support and check out his work anywhere you stream music. His work is linked in the bio, or you can look him up under Charlie the Nomad. Thank you all again for listening, and make sure to tune in next time as I talk with Lando from Brickmania.